Welcome to the big story. It's been described as a national red flag and a damning reflection of Nigeria's education system. This year's Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination, also known as the UTME results, are in, and the numbers are nothing short of alarming. According to the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, over 75% of candidates scored below 200 out of a possible 400. Let that sink in. More than 1.4 million students, many of them fresh secondary school graduates, failed to hit what many considered an average benchmark. This makes the 2025 UTME Nigeria's third worst performing since 2016, raising urgent questions about the quality of teaching, the preparedness of students, and the accountability of stakeholders across both public and private education sectors.
So even more worrying, only 0.5% of candidates scored 300 and above, a figure that experts say reflects deep systemic rot and the need for immediate reform. So, what's going wrong? And more importantly, how can it be fixed? Joining us now is Veronica Mordi. She's a head teacher at Holden Park School to help us unpack the issues behind these numbers and what they mean for the future of learning in Nigeria. Veronica, good morning to you and welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me again.
And before we came on, I was saying that I was joking that the only time we see you here is when there's a damning thing about the education. Can you just come here and tell us good news? But it's good to have you, and thank you so much for joining us. I mean, let's begin. These numbers are concerning. Another low, 5-year low decline that we're on now. As an educationist, were you shocked? Or does this reflect something, I mean, we're not talking about?
Thank you. Now, sincerely, the figures are shocking. Not that I expected anything outlandish in terms of result, but I didn't expect this kind of failure, mass failure. For me, it's just evidence again and again and again for the government to look into our educational system. Sincerely, we have a system that is not working. Let's just say it as it is. Not working because we don't want it to work. Not working because it can't work, is because we are not making it to work. So it starts from the preparation, right down to the quality of teaching and learning happening in the classroom. So when I saw the whole, LinkedIn, children slinging mud at their teachers as a reason to fail, I'm a teacher, and I said, I take responsibility. Yes, I am a teacher, and sincerely, the failure of students starts first for the child. Their own is my teacher's responsible, because that is direct person they see as the physical human being responsible for my learning. But beyond that, teachers as well at the forefront. What about the leaders in the school? What about the government, their role in the school? So some of the things that could be responsible for this is our clear, move as not to prepare well or plan for things like this. Systems fail when there is no preparation. You don't just lift something that you have drawn on the theory level and just begin to implement without considering the cost. You must plan for it. The people in the place, the structures you have existing, how are you going to monitor, how are you going to measure? What happens before the D-Day, which is the day of the exam, is the number one thing when it comes to success or failure. You prepare ahead, not on the day of the exam or after the exams are done, results are out. You're not like, this is the reason. No, it could have been prevented if proper planning.
You said that quite a number of factors are responsible. Let's look at it also from the angle of the syllabus or the curriculum. The world is moving at, jet speed. And right now we are talking about AI. The conversation seems to snowball into AI and all of that. But I mean, looking at our current curriculum, academic curriculum, would you say that it's motivating for the students, competitive for the workplace? Does it empower them for the future?
It doesn't. That's the truth. If I pull from what you're saying, the first thing we need to look at is what are the skills required in the workplace now? Right. I'm not talking about 2010. Because systems that work, they look at the work environment and they ask, what are the skills you're looking for? What are the prevailing skills that allows for success in this century, not 20th and 21st century? We identify that, first of all. Speak to captains of industry and find out from them, what do you expect from the workers coming to you? the soft skills like resilience and the like. Find out from them. Then now go to look at our educational system. Is it developing the skills in the children? If it is, because there are levels to it. There's emerging, there's developing. There's a place where you're secured with the skill, and there's a place where you actually gain mastery. So we always stop at the emerging. Even the developing, I always ask, are we truly developing skills?
Are we emerging? Are we coming from?
We're just emerging. We're still waking up. We're still waking up.
Baby
right?
step, baby step.
It's always baby step. So a lot of these children, now if you even come to AI, as simple as use of technology, how many of our schools, sincerely, have candidates that can use technology properly?
I mean, that would even take me to the question of many of these exams now are CBT. So they go to special, is it, I don't know what they call it,
the computer-based.
Yes, the tech centers, and then they are put before
a computer
and all of that. So infrastructural issues are there, and then even the child's know-how. So talking about technological awareness and all of that, would you also say this might have played a factor in this number that we are seeing?
Yes. I was privileged in the days when cyber cafes were reigning. I walked into a few of them, and I always like to sit back and watch them. A lot of them don't even understand the prompts on the screen. As simple as clicking, submit, move forward. They don't know. Only a small fraction understand how the system works.
I wonder if this is indicting on JAMB as well, right? Because they should... If you look at all the schools, I don't know if it was, I think it was a set after my set or 3 sets after my set. The educational body, and I think it was also TEFON as well, decided to stay, and it stopped. Look, there's so much, but they were installing satellite dishes in all the Unity schools. And I remember because 3 years after I graduated, I went to my sister's school, and I can't say a school, but it was a Unity school, and there was this big, massive dish. And then 2 years after, when I went to get my certificate in my secondary school for my university as I was graduating, I went there, and then I also saw the same thing. Come to find out, I saw an article that they were working towards, bringing those things to school. But as always, something happens, it will start, it will not finish. Is JAM supposed to be, are we supposed to hold JAM as well when it comes to preparing those students for the computer-based tests? Because we only see from the lens that we're at, and that's Lagos, Ibadan, all the metropolitan cities. What about those who are in the far-to-reach region, who have to drive to the main cities, and they thrust them in front of the computer, and they don't know the prompts?
That's the truth. What you said is absolutely true. I was looking at some of the figures, and I saw states in the north, Imo State, Ogun State. I'm just wondering, okay, so in the north, that I grew up in the north, apart from the metropolitan cities, within places Adamawa, Kaduna and Co, the city areas, fine, but even within those cities, there are some schools you will approach. I schooled in former Gongola State, right? And you're walking and wondering, in the same Yola where I was, you have this school and you have this school. How come this one is probably well-funded and this one just looks like an abandoned land? And that's the truth. So JAM has a major role to play. Of course, Ministry of Education came out to say it's just the evidence of the fact that the government is trying to curb malpractice. I am not, in a way, disagreeing with him because there has been gross malpractice in our
JAM system,
but that is just a fraction of the issue. The issue is level of preparation. The children don't even have the basic test-taking skills. They don't know how to take exams. They don't understand what the questions even mean.
And that's, we have to also talk about the culture itself, whether it's cramming, the cramming culture, or the lack of foundational understanding, or better yet, the learner's gap when it comes to, let's talk about that. Let's talk about those gaps as well, and the culture of reading and learning. Because in our time, I don't know about you, but in my time, we were very blessed, and I was lucky. Big shout out to to Mr. Abraham. He was my guardian. So he would teach us skills and ways to read and to remember. So he taught us the different methods, the one where you write, the one where you make bullets, and the one where you seed out your time. Take 10 minutes out of 1 hour to play and come back. Take 15 minutes out of 1 hour to play and come back. Focus on this area, bullet those points. When you come back after the break, he gave us those study guidelines and those pipelines. And wherever he is, I hope that all is well with you, sir, and thank you so much for those thoughts. But what about, people who don't know that and all they want to do is cram?
So then that's where the teachers come in. So we're looking at the government, we're looking at JAM as an exam board, even WAEC and NECO should be listening to this because the exams are on and we don't know what theirs will look like. That's the truth, because if you look at it, it cuts across all three. It cuts across. It's more like there's a mirror between the three of them, and it still comes back to the same thing. They need to come together and look at this system of education that we have in Nigeria. Is it really working? Are there things we need to change about the curriculum? The topics, how are they taught? You know, as I was telling somebody, I say, I wish the government can actually throw out some kind of a survey and let children feel, you know, anonymously what they think about the exam. And not just, my teacher is bad, I think the timing of 6:30 was bad. What about the style of questioning that they have? And look at what teachers are using in the classroom. Are they exposed to questions like that? Or is it just, the answer is A, the answer is B? Why is it A? Why is it B? Why is it not C? Or why is it not D? And let them process and understand. So when the children get into the exam hall and they meet a similar question, and of course it's not the same, they can apply the skills.
Right.
Like, as simple as English language. Some children don't understand encoding and decoding. They can't decode information. They don't have to draw links. Okay, if you say Mr. A, so that
critical
means
thinking.
they don't.
Critical
They can't
thinking.
think.
And that's another skill about reading. That whenever you read something, my daddy would say, go and teach your younger ones. You don't get it now, but it made perfect sense. Then I was like, why do you want me to teach those ones? Big shout out to daddy, I hope you're watching. He'll tell you, go and teach your younger ones. You know, when Chinachebe died, he told me, go and tell them about Chinachebe. You know what I mean? He made me do those things, right? Yeah. And so now people call me an Efiko. It's not my fault. You know, and then when you think about it now, those people then, it would be, they now consider themselves thought leaders because they're once instructing other people. But really, for you to better understand what you read, you must be able to talk about it.
And be able to communicate. But let's look at the psychology of these students too, and the role of family, right? At the beginning of the show, we talked about, you know, the rot and everything, and how families, parents should not see the school as an escape, you know, for themselves. They dump their kids there, and they feel it's the responsibility of the teacher. So the role of the family in all of this, and the psychology of many of these kids. Do you think that many of them are in the right mental space, given the pressure from society, the pressure from social media, and the pressure from family, and even the economy, to want to stay in school?
Social-cultural issues as well.
Yeah. Now, social-cultural issues never go away. It's everywhere. In the US, UK, it's everywhere. The high expectations that parents have from schools or teachers can never, it's here forever. Because something in them believes if you are the teacher, that word is a big word in their head. You are teaching my child. I have paid fees, and it's your responsibility to teach my child. There's nothing you can do. The more you tell them, they're bringing it back to you. But they also forget that they're also teachers, because the first learning starts from the home. And there's always a sandwich to a child's learning. Something should be coming from the house. So the environment the child is growing in, the structures you have in your house to support your child with, as simple as when you come back to school, you eat your lunch, you take your shower, you eat your lunch, you have siesta, and then you do your homework, and then we do so. That structure is important in the house.
Right.
You must ask your child, what did you do in school today? Or what did you enjoy about school today? What are your cooking in the kitchen? Ask your child questions. What did you do in math today? Did you find the questions difficult? No. Why did you? Those kind of questions, they help children process or debrief in their head what happened in school. And it has a way of reinforcing learning. Oh, I scored so well in my, let's say, physics paper. Wow, beautiful. What do you know? What did you do right that made you feel you did so well? And the child can identify what was excellent about their practice to have scored 100. You've reinforced something.
Right.
Next time when he's attempting the fixed exam, he comes with the confidence of, wow, I did so well the last time. My parents were happy about it. They gave me a pat on the back, because children are largely
reward system.
The reward system is so important.
We have to go bring the news, but is there a change in parenting from our time and now that millennials are parents? Is there a change? And I think I've had this conversation so many times, even when I was on radio. Millennial parenting, Gen Z parenting, and baby boomer parenting, completely different. Baby boomers, when they were parenting, it was helicopters. I mean, our parents are baby boomers. They were helicopter parenting. They are hovering over their children. Gen X, they sort of reward. But millennials, I don't know if it's trauma. They just said, you know what, my parents beat me. Have free will and do as you will. Do you get what I mean? And I don't know if it's a style. if it has metamorphosed, exactly, it would have changed. And
for me, what's happening there is every generation is criticizing the previous one. So we all, as human nature, look out for what was bad about the way my parents trained me. I don't want my child to experience that. But in that, you always forget that there was profit in the way they trained you because it made you who you are. So you get your own side and say, I'm not going to stress my child. I'm going to let them do what they want. I'm not going to choose their career. I won't choose their subjects. That is true. But where is the guidance? So if you're not careful, you just pull away.
Where is the guidance?
Give them the freedom. I don't want them to stifle me like my parents did. And now I am this very boxed up person. I want my child to be free to express themselves. True. But we forget that a child is a child and the adult is adult. So now we now have our Gen Z. And we have Gen Alpha coming, by the way.
I love those ones. Those ones are not there.
On point children are coming to meet us in the room. Now, so Gen Zs are now like, all you people, the way you do your things, we don't take it. We can't take. We don't go. We
don't tolerate. They have a sense of intolerance. Look, I think. But the question is, where do you draw the line between guidance and hovering? Which is a rhetorical question that I'll leave here. Let's go on a short break, shall we? So we can bring you breakfast headlines after the break. After the news, we continue with this conversation on education, parenting, and the future of education for Nigeria. But first, the breakfast news. Stay with us.
It's still breakfast, Esther. Thank you for staying with us. Let's get back to the conversation on education and, of course, the recent UTME results that has sparked reaction. We still have our guest in the studio.
Yes, indeed. Our guest is Veronica Mordi. She is the head teacher of Holden Park School. Thank you so much for still being patient with us.
Yeah.
I mean, before the break, we're talking about guidance and, parenting and, how much of a role the parents also play in these numbers that we're seeing. But I also have to talk about investment as well. Although we've seen the budget, from 2022, we're seeing a bit of more small percentile being added to the budget, yearly or fiscal year budget on education. Is that enough? Given that we just saw in the news that the United Development Fund for Education for Children, I think is UNICEF on education, they're saying that after this year, no more funding because all thanks to the USAID and all the budget cuts and the America First policy by President Trump. How's it going to affect our education?
It's definitely going to affect us because Nigeria is largely a dependent society. We depend more than we actually
on aid.
do. So for me, I think this is a wake-up call for us to know that you can't depend on someone forever. You need to think about how you can be self-reliant. So government should definitely increase the budget for education because that's the future of the country. It's to invest more into training of teachers, infrastructure, equipping schools with resources, and even this IT thing, because you said you're going the CBT way, using computer-based testing system, then you need to ensure the schools have access to working systems and the teachers are well equipped to help the children. You need to also include ways for them to have exam bodies have sample papers where children can practice in the classroom. Is it part of their testing system in the classroom? They use computers to do simple work in the classroom. I know Lagos State has moved away. They now have tablets for teachers, and they can do lesson planning and co. But other states in Nigeria don't have.
They're far to reach places. The border towns.
They don't. So all those measures should be in place because that's where the preparation comes. And it should be proper monitoring. How are they using this? Is it still the same route learning of cram and pour? Because we really need to deal with that for our children. It's a lazy way of learning. They just cram, they pour, they forget. Teachers should help them think about their learning. Let them think about the concepts. Work with the topics. Our curriculum can actually work sincerely if we are more proactive. With the way we implement.
Before we let you go, for many students who took this exam and fell below par, it would be a really low moment for them.
God.
So my question goes to borders around handling, permit me to use the word, failure on the part of the student, the role of the school, and the role of parents here.
Please, emphasis on parents, because some parents will
punish the child, vilify the child, crucify the child, tell the child, look, we are not failures, and you are the first to fail. Look at X, Y, Z, and compare. Right? So how best can failure be handled for the child? with the role of this stakeholder?
Well, thank you. So that's where the guidance we're talking about. Parents should make their children understand that, of course, with a lot of care, that to fail is not an evil thing. If you fail, because we have this signpost in our minds or in the atmosphere that failure is not an option. It's something that is ingrained in every, I'll use the word Nigerian, you cannot fail. After all the money I'm spending on you, you cannot fail. But failure does happen.
Right.
So a lot of us don't even know how to deal with failure. As children, you fail a test, you come back home, in your mind, my mother is going to flog me, and truly you're going to get strokes of cane for it. So I'm just wondering, the strokes of cane, are you punishing the child for failing, or are you? So parents should think about ways of, with this situation, every family should have a good talk, because the child is in the center of it. They're emotionally burdened, they're unhappy, they're worried about, that means I'm going to sit at home for the next one year.
Yeah.
How am I going to, the shame of being the one who could not pass JAM, being among, no matter the numbers, if it's two people that pass, the parents will be like, why couldn't you have been the two that made the highest score? Now we have over how many that got above 300, and the parents are like, with all the TV you're watching in my house, all the food you're eating in my house, all the money I'm spending at the special center, you still could not make that cut.
I don't know why parents talk to their children as if they're doing them a favor.
The reason why I asked this question is, recently I witnessed something. It was a simple game at a party, a chair game, and
musical chairs.
Musical chairs. And this little chap, was pretty much diligent in ensuring that he made it to the last two.
Have you ever seen me play musical chairs? I might be that kid.
Yeah, so he was diligent till he became the final two.
Yeah, it's the same with me.
And then he did everything. Dance, did
I stole the chair at the end.
And then at the end of the day, the lady
won.
Oh my
Do you know the way he handled it? I was shocked.
Oh, wow.
He was crying and he kept saying, I was going for the kill. Little boy. The parents could not contain him. Nobody in the party could. They took him out, locked him inside. He came out, said, I wanted to beat up this child. And it goes on to that question of how to train children, how to teach them that, look, if you are let down, if you fail, if you're disappointed, it's not the end of the world, right? It's part of life. You dust off and you move on.
I don't think that a parent can teach a child that failure is part of the process, except the parent themselves understand that failure is part of the process. So I think parents also need to understand that failure is part of the process.
And not all of them do.
And that failure is not the end, and it's not in an indictment that that child is a failure.
Yes.
But before we leave, because I know that we have to quickly wrap this thing up. Looking at the stats, it reads that 50.29% or 50.29% of the candidates scored between 160 to 199. Not everyone will excel educationally. Not everyone will excel in academia. I think let's also talk about diversifying our education sector in and of itself. Vocational skills, and also the importance of guidance and counseling and child psychology and therapy in this situation, so that people can understand where children's strengths lie and how early that they can diversify. Because from these numbers, it's looking like not that 50.29% shouldn't be in universities.
It's a huge number.
It's a huge number.
Yes. So what you said is true. So I think what the government should be thinking about now is not going around saying, look, it means the system is fail-proof. That means malpractice has been curbed. Yes, malpractice may have been curbed, but we still had centers of with they're saying the blacklisting that means they haven't really solved malpractice. So vocational schools, very important. I'm a strong advocate of it. We have technical schools in Nigeria. What's happening to them? They just look like collector center. Nothing's happening. They just collect dust, go to Yaba and all that and see what's going on there. And if you enter their rooms, they have everything. So I think the government should look into pathways of learning.
Right.
Not every child will follow the typical, pathway. They should revive, those schools and other, systems of, like I used the word pathways of learning. So then we can reduce the bulk of children who always want to write JAM. Perhaps if they have options, then those ones who have earlier on identified that, look, this is not my way. I want to probably be a cook, or I want to go into dressing, or I want to do, all those engineering, woodwork kind of skill, and they're doing well. They can just simply streamline out and follow that path and to reduce the number, while they focus on, getting for each area the structures, the systems working, and the individuals actually running them, understand how they work, and the support structure is then for them to.
All right, Veronica, we must say thank you so much for coming on. We thank you for your patience and just being here, and just as always, every single time we call, you make our time to come. Thank you. And also, this is a call to the education, the Ministry of Education, but most importantly, the Ministry of, I think, National Orientation. I think now is the time that both, systems or both institutions come together to glamorize vocational training, glamorize, vocational trade. If you don't glamorize it, our people will demonize it and see it as not, not visible for their children. Glamorize it enough so that people can diversify, our education system can diversify. Not everyone needs to be a medical doctor. I don't even like blood. Let's go on a short break, shall we? When we return, we look at promoting local content. How are we going to promote local content if we don't glamorize vocational skills? See what I'm talking about?